Hey, Savages. This week on the podcast, we have Coy Blair. He is a post-collegiate shot putter. He was out of Tiffin University, and now he is training on his own. He's right around that 20-meter mark, which is right where you need to be when you're just out of college and getting ready to make those big steps towards the Olympics. So check out this interview with Coy Blair. Super strong guy, really good thrower, smart dude. Check it out. See ya. Coy Blair, what's happening?
Not a lot. I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah, it's been. I've been watching you come up over the years, and I saw you on Instagram one day, and I said, "Man, I gotta get him on the podcast and see what's going on." Matter of fact, I think it was after the Ashland Summer Series meet this year.
Oh, this year, yeah, both of them. Yeah, it was. This year was weird. It was indoor. Worked well. It was my first year post collegiate, so I dropped out the weight throw, which is the primary one. I didn't really train it that often, but training-wise, in terms of weight room and special auxiliary lifting and that kind of stuff, I was able to focus more of that towards just shot put primary.
What's it like not having, and maybe you still do you still have that Tiffin support system?
Yeah,
going?
So this year, actually, I was a grad assistant for the team. So they brought me back. I was lucky enough to get the position. I think, the first grad assistant they've ever had in recent years since they've had the full staff. But yeah, I was able to keep working under Ray, who's great.
What's it, Ray?
Robinson.
Ray Robinson. Okay.
This is going into his 8th year.
He took over for Adrian Wilson, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Right. When Adrian was there.
Yeah. So he finished his senior year and then kind of got that job, and it's blossomed into what we have now, with a good foundation by those previous. And it was just difficult. I mean, first year post is always the hardest. Mm-hmm. You know, it's from the people that I've talked to. But it was really weird because last year I went through the entire indoor collegiate season, and then I went through the outdoor season, and then USAs and post, and that's already a pretty long season.
Yeah.
And then I was lucky enough to where I was able to go to Taiwan for World University Games. So I was able to go there, and it kind of extended everything by like a month and a half.
Yeah.
So then by the time I get back, do my month off, because we just do an entire month off when you get back, just to relax, let your body heal up and stuff. I was already pretty much over halfway, 3/4 of the way through our conditioning phase. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really do too much there. I kind of did more weight room conditioning, that kind of aspect.
Yeah.
And then just getting into season, I realized how awkward it was, because training, Ray during my last year was like, he would pretty much just tell me when to breathe.
Yeah.
No, I mean, not that extreme, but
sure.
More or less, I've never had anyone not tell me what I was and was not to do. Mm-hmm. And the plan got pretty particular, especially my last year, just because there was a lot left to do in terms of my collegiate career. My junior campaign there was okay. It wasn't stellar. Mm-hmm. But my senior year, we knew we had things to do, and so it was just all hands on deck and keep going through. And
are you enjoying being able to create your own path now?
Yes and no. It's weird because I know a lot of people who do this for a living. And then one of my best friends is a Purdue grad. I went to Purdue before coming to Tiffin. And he had success really early. I mean, he was a 13-time All-American in multiple events.
Who's this?
Chuck Inequity.
Okay.
80-foot weight thrower, 69-foot shot putter. I think he threw in the 170s in the disc.
How the fuck have I never heard of this guy?
238 in the hammer.
Wow.
I mean, just a freak.
Yeah.
Back squatted over 800 pounds at 240.
Jesus Christ. And he's in Purdue?
Yeah, so he still trains there right now, but he's a dual citizen with Nigeria.
Okay.
So he's able to compete for them.
To get his information when we leave here today.
He got
he's
the
an interesting guy to talk to.
Yeah, I mean, he just missed Rio by 3 centimeters.
Wow. In which event?
Shot put.
Okay.
So he's a shot put primary now. He has He got silver behind Tom Walsh at the Commonwealth this year. I mean,
Tom Walsh hit a bomb at Commonwealth this year, 22 plus.
Well, in qualifying.
Yeah.
In the final, he still threw over 70 feet. Yeah. But for Tom Walsh's standards, he's walking around, he's like, shit.
Yeah.
But, so no, I mean, talking to him is a great reference just because when I was at Purdue, we did a West Side format for the most part with an Olympic component to begin. And then since going to Tiffin, everything's kind of changed. We don't really do powerlifting movements. We do functional movements for the events.
Yeah, isn't that's and we just had a podcast yesterday with Judd talking about that. It's amazing how throws coaches can differ so highly from each other. And we talked about West Side training for throwers, and if you take the West Side model and you just do it the way Louis does it with his powerlifters, you're probably not going to get the best results out of that because, training, a Dave Hoff is considerably different from training a guy who has to move and flex and turn. But when I work with throwers, it's a conjugate-based program, but it doesn't look anything like Louis'. He would come in and go, what the fuck? But it's still conjugate, and you have to be able to tweak that. And then I would talk to Justin Rohde, who's a Bondarchuk guy, and it sounds like a lot like what you're talking about at Tiffin. It's a lot more functional and throwing-based.
Like, I think Bondarchuk's model, and obviously I've never done it, but I know people who've gone through it. The way it's structured is it's really difficult not to have injuries occur. Just because it's almost to the point where you want to be in the spectrum of functional versus strength versus specialty, and I think it's just too far to the specialty functional aspect. I'm still front squatting, I'm still back squatting, I box squat, I still do strength movements, and we do Olympic derivatives between its progressive range, hangs, fulls. I prefer stuff from the floor just because I'm able to generate so much bar speed. For me to get feeling the way I need to, I notice that from the floor helps me tremendously versus hang. I can power clean from the floor probably 440. Right. And I can snatch probably close to 300. Hang, my best hang clean is 330. Right. I drop off significantly. So looking at like a powerlifting model, because I powerlifted in high school, not competitively, but that was kind of our basis. And I had a really good high school coach. I was really lucky. So for me, getting strong was never hard. And I traded so much flexibility and mobility for strength. Chad Wesley Smith is an excellent example. He was I think 19 plus meter shot putter in college, and he did an interview with Darrell Hill, Ryan Whiting, and Ryan Krauser, and at the Olympic Training Center, and he was kind of talking to them. He's like, I used to do this, and I used to try to do everything for speed, and now I just move as much weight as humanly possible.
Yeah, he was a freak show. He was never going to be. When he was on the Elite Fitness site as a contributor, those of us who were following throwing and knew about the guys that were out there knew that 19 meters wasn't going to cut it, and to go from a 19 meter thrower to a 20 plus, 21, 22 meter thrower is at that level, unless something drastic happens, I can't even imagine it happened at that level. So you kind of saw the writing on the wall that he was going to need to look for other avenues, and now he seemed to have found his niche in the strength coaching world. But it was kind of tough watching him, and knowing that a kid in his 20s, you want to make an Olympic team. Any other country in the world, you're going to the Olympics, and it's the one thing we do in the throws world that we're good at here, and we just have freak shows walking around.
Going back to Chuck, if he hits the standard, he pretty much goes.
Right.
There's never, if I was in a European country, I'd probably be making a lot of money doing this. Yeah. Being a 66-foot shot putter.
Diamond League. I've got a buddy who was I think 63 or 64 footer, Peter Goodmanson from Iceland. And he's an Olympian. He was a bronze medalist at the European Championships. But, 64 feet isn't going to do shit in the United States.
Yeah. I threw 64.11 and didn't qualify for USA's this year.
That's insane to me. You didn't qualify.
I mean, right now I think I'm tied for like 57th in the world. There's like a three-way tie in the U.S., but I'm 23rd or 24th in the U.S.
That's so brutal, man. And people don't understand how far 64 feet is with a 16-pound ball. You know, I think my best ever was 53 feet. Mm-hmm. And I was 310 pounds and was training super hard. And, you know, I mean, I can't even imagine throwing that far. But you're a young man. You've got time to, you know, I just watched a video of, I can't remember his name. Ryan Whiting.
Yeah.
Throwing like 64 feet.
Yeah.
You know, and it was 10 years ago. And now he's 71, 72 pretty consistently. What's the plan to get there? I mean,
biggest thing for me is just I carry way too much mass.
Mm-hmm.
It's never been a secret. It's pretty blatant. You know, I'm just shy of 6'3", and currently I weigh 367. Mm-hmm. So just way too much mass.
So what are you gonna do?
Change diet up. I actually just accepted a new position, so I'm ending my grad assistant position early. And my hometown, my high school, is building an indoor facility, and I'm going to be the director of it. So there's
wonderful.
It's like a 6-lane, 200-meter track, basketball courts, weight room, batting cages, multi-purpose facility.
Yeah.
Kind of like the rec center at the Heminger,
mm-hmm.
And out on Tiffin's campus. So I'll be director of that and events coordinator. So then being down there and, hardest thing is just affording to eat properly and being able to do, GA stipend is not a whole lot of money.
Yeah, sure.
You got rent and everything else. And luckily my girlfriend of 10 years moved up and got a job with the university. And, we made it work. So it's just, being able to make it happen a lot more efficiently. And with my season ending earlier this year, because I didn't have all the extra stuff going on, I wasn't invited to Diamond League or anything like that.
Yeah,
so I've given myself, next Monday is when I start my metabolic training.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just do probably 3-4 weeks of metabolic stuff, Metcon workouts, order dieting, get that nutrition timing and everything narrowed down, and kind of create a plan then, write different ideas for each meal and that kind of stuff to space it out. And then biggest thing is just being consistent.
Yeah. If you need help with that, let me know. I mean, I went from 312 down to, at my lowest, I was 237. And I did it in a year just by changing things up. Metabolic training, I threw a lot more Metcons in. And we do some stuff now that kind of rides the line between because I'm still competing in the master's class. So how far am I going to throw as opposed to being healthy, being in shape, being able to move. And we're doing some really cool stuff with it. So if you need any help with that, let me know.
For sure.
We'll give you some help. Pape's doing the same thing, and man, he came in a fat slob when he started. He was huge. We've got him down. So
yeah, it's cool you mentioned Whiting, because Ryan Whiting and Jordan Clark, in my opinion, are two of the nicest, most helpful individuals in the sport.
Yeah.
I've never asked them a question they've not answered it. There's a hand forearm recovery grip strength video on YouTube that Ryan made because I inboxed him, and I was like, hey, I'm having a lot of hand health issues.
Right.
Because I went from my freshman year, I threw 61 indoors, and then outdoors in my sophomore year, I hit 20 for the first time in training.
Yeah.
So in 1 year, I came in throwing 60 feet, which is pretty stressful on an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And then at 19, I was throwing 65, 66 in training.
That was your freshman year you hit 61?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just jumped up 4 pounds in the ball, too.
So it was one of those things where I was having a lot of issues I never had before because the 12 was so light.
Yeah.
I threw 67 in high school, and I could stand 62.
Right.
It was, I wasn't getting a translation. I wasn't building through. I was just getting a little movement and straightening my arm.
Yeah.
But being so big, so young, and being able to move the way I was that segue into, the 16 is where I can shine.
Yeah.
Were
you rotating in high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Ryan recently, after my most recent injury, my calf injury, he's like, hey, if you want help with this, let me know and I'll try to narrow it down with you. And his biggest thing was just, for him, because he got up to, I want to say like 320, 330, something like that.
Yeah.
And when he was in college, when he threw 21.97, I think he was 275, 280-ish.
See, that's lean and moving, man.
So, when he threw 22.28 in Doha, I want to say that he was right around 320-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And he noticed for him, he's like, my feet always hurt. And I noticed that if I drop 10% of body mass, I reduce the stress of my body by 10%.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't think it's the mechanism of you doing it. I think it's just there's so much strain and so much stress for you to be able to complete certain movements that, your body just can't handle it.
Yeah. When I was throwing really competitively in the Highland Games, you had this myth that the heavier was better, and you had to be heavy.
Mass moves an object.
Mass moves mass. Air quotes. That was always the thing, right? And I spent my time in over 300 pounds, but I wish I would have been more like 265, 270, because I think I would have moved a lot better, and I still would have been plenty heavy enough to throw that stuff. And I try to tell throwers today that, don't hang on to that. And I get it with throwers. I get it with track and field guys. I get it with strongman guys. A lot of times guys will be heavy because it's easy, and they'll use it as an excuse. Well, I'm a strongman competitor. I need to be this big. No, you don't, because none of that weight is good solid weight.
Yeah,
we can lower that down. Strongman in this country. We can get you down lean and be able to move, and you're going to do so much better. It's something I learned as I grew older, that you don't need to be, you don't need that extra body weight. I remember them interviewing Poliquin one time. I can't remember what it was for, but Poliquin said that he thought that in the future, shot putters were going to end up looking more like pro wrestlers, because they're going to figure it out. It's okay to be 285 instead of 320 and just be lean and jacked and moving,
The biggest thing is just maximizing efficiency. I did a 50-inch box jump weighing 370. So it's not a matter of athleticism.
No, not at all.
I can broad jump close to 10. During the British quad test, we do that once a year. This year I ran a 30 meter in a 4.38.
Jesus Christ.
So it's like I can scoot, I can move, but I don't have any thoracic separation. I don't have thoracic rotation to the level that I should. And we were talking before we started the day about my shoulder rotation.
Yeah.
I can't overhead press. I can't behind the neck jerk. I can't hold a squat behind my head properly.
Right.
So things like that, just having the amount of mass that I do and having the amount of immobility I do from years of just not having to work on it, is what will take me to that 21, 22 level. I just turned 24. I'm at a good age in the U.S. for shot putting, because the Jordan guys, Adrian Paperis, the new freshmen in college that are just absolutely insane, will be still in college when I'm entering the peak years of the sport. Rule of thumb is 28 to 32, and that can shift a couple either way. I think I'm going to be the 28 to 32, 29 to 30, 33 range, just because I haven't found my plan yet. I had a great plan in college. I executed it fully. I had success with it. National champion in the weight and the shot. First person to do the double.
Yeah.
It's just really difficult to maintain that year in and year out, because it takes so much to do on your body.
Right.
The year that I did that, I front squatted 600 pounds. Do I need to move that much weight all the time? I don't think so. I don't know. This year I kind of did more of a spot lifting aspect, where I would go by feel and focus more on the technical aspect in the ring of things. So I would lift, I would write a plan out, and I would be going in it, and then I had my first injury of the year. I tore my calf. So it was kind of like, shit, what am I going to do? So I took some time off, kind of got back in the weight room, I was telling Pape at the regional meet, I was on a recruiting trip. I saw him. We were talking, and I was like, well, we were talking lifting and everything, and he's like, you still strong? I was like, well, I just benched for the 6th time this year the other day, and I needed I was injured, and I needed an ego lift, so I worked up and did 500 for a single, and it moved really well, and I was like, all right, I'm still strong. I don't feel strong, I don't feel big, I don't feel, not muscle bound's not the word, but I don't feel efficient, I don't feel, but I can walk in and bench 500 any day. I can front squat probably close to 6 any day I want, clean 4. The numbers to make something go far in the ring are always there.
Yeah, especially with the rotational technique. I remember hearing Reese Hoffa talk one time, and he said as long as he could, I think it was bench 500 and back squat 600, he always knew he was strong enough to throw. And it would be like that. He would come in, all right, well, I know I did 430 for a couple reps. I'm good. He just knew he was strong enough.
Interesting thing about Reese, too, is he kind of spotless the whole year. His lifting, and I think he discussed it in an interview with Matt Vincent from Hate Brand. He was talking about how his lifting can adapt because he never knew if he was traveling or not. So he wrote things that he can do anywhere. And if he would wake up one day and not feel like doing it, he would just alter it or just not do it and move it. And, if he had 5x5 on the paper, he could walk in and do 6x2 and leave just as happy, and because he would lift off feel and what he needed. And I think I'm shifting in that direction. The older you get, obviously, the less you have to do. But
you also have a better perception of what your body can handle. If an 18-year-old kid out there is listening to this podcast and going, oh, that's the way I'm going to train. No, you're not ready for that. No. You have to really know your body.
And that's the thing for me. I mean, just walking in, I can get rowdy, I can get intense, and I can put weight on it. But is the next 3 days of what I know is going to be piss poor training in the ring worth it for me to work up and go 800 off a box? I don't think so. I'm to the point now where it's work smarter, not harder, I guess. Do I take, and there would be bad training days as a result of what you do in the weight room, but the idea is to bridge the gap and make that as minimal as possible.
And as throwers, we all tend to, or the majority of us tend to love the weight room. So it's really difficult to throttle back a little bit and realize that, I love lifting, but the goal here is to make the ball go further. And what's going to make the ball go further?
And I've worked with John Godina a lot. I was lucky enough to have a relationship with him towards the end of my college career. And during that time, he said that having the weight room focus and being weight room oriented is great when you're young. But you have to learn how to get away from that. You have to learn how to wake up in the morning, stretch. You have to learn how to spend your time in the kitchen properly. The things outside of the weight room that make you better is what you have to focus on, because you're so good at the weight room aspect of it. And, I live for the weight. Like, that's my favorite part of training. Obviously I love shot putting, and the sport in general is what I like. But the training aspect of lifting is probably my favorite component. Just because, I can just kind of get lost in it, do whatever the hell I want. If I'm feeling good, I'll take it up. If I'm not, I'll kind of back it off, but I'm still getting the work in. And it's just, I don't know, barbaric.
Well, and you come out of high school, you come into college, you're building to a place where you have that 500-pound bench and that 4+ power clean, and you get to that place where, okay, now is putting another 20 pounds on my bench press going to make the ball go further, or is spending 20 minutes a day making sure my mobility's down, and making sure my diet's on point, and getting that metabolic conditioning in, is that going to make my ball go further? And like you said, at this point in your career, it's probably that other stuff that's going to make it go further.
I mean, absolutely.
Adam Nelson talked about one of the best things that ever happened to him was, I think it was a pec tear, and he couldn't bench press for a long time. So he spent a lot of time working on core training. And the way Adam Nelson throws with that weird left leg sweep, man, that's so much. You look at him, he's got the he's got long legs for a shorter guy, and that thick, stout, wide waist.
Yeah.
And you got to think that's where a lot of that power came from.
Adam's like the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah, seems like a good dude.
I met him I qualified for Olympic trials in 2016, and I was lucky enough to meet him, and I had dinner with him a couple times. And he's just, to this day, he still, every once in a while, will send something back and forth, like, hey, how's it going? Like,
yeah, he was a dude that just wanted to give back to the sport, man. I think he really loved throwing and just wanted to, and he became such an advocate of anti-drugs in the sport. And that's some place where him and I kind of differ. I don't care,
Yeah.
Take whatever you want, I just want to see you throw 80 feet. But he was such an advocate for that, where he was really just trying to make things better, and you got to respect him for that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's the anabolic aspect of sport is I hate it, just because to me, if the part that sets me away from everyone else is the fact that I can do it. I don't take creatine. I don't take anything.
Yeah.
I eat some eggs in the morning and that's it. I go out the door and get my shit done. So I hate it. I don't, for our sport, just because, rules are rules.
Yeah.
And it's, no matter what the rules are, someone will try to find a way to cheat.
Sure.
And, I pretty much just tell people, I was like, well, take your favorite person, Google them, and then put the word steroids in. You can tell if they're real, if they're full of shit.
Yeah.
For me, like, that was the biggest, because when I was looking at people to look up to, Godina, best American double ever in the shot and disc.
Yeah. No, who does that anymore? Nobody,
Yeah. I mean, it's just, but what people were, like Adam Nelson, what people were able to do and never have to take something foreign is just amazing.
Yeah.
And it's to think that potentially at some point I could maybe do that is what gets me, and the fact that people will fast track that and just get it going.
Yeah, I'm sure though you beat. There's guys. I'm not a big believer in the efficiency of drug testing, because there's just so many people out there. I'm guaranteeing you have beat dozens of people who are on. And they've placed 2 and 3 spots behind you.
Yeah.
So
it's just the idea that it exists.
Yeah. And as a casual fan, I just want to see a guy throw 80 feet.
Yeah.
Let's jack them up and see how far they can throw. But I get it. If you're in the mix and competing.
Yeah. I mean, it takes money away from people.
Absolutely.
I mean, Adam Nelson lost probably close to $1.5 million. From
as intelligent as he was too, and he could have done the interview circuits, and he could have been on the Tonight Show. You know?
From Yuri Billinol, because who now has a lifetime ban.
Right.
From the 2004 Olympics in Athens, he was stripped from that.
Yeah. Got his gold medal in a McDonald's in an
airport. You can never replace the feeling of winning a gold and hearing your anthem in a foreign country.
Yep.
Never.
Yep.
And I was on the junior team. I went to Columbia for Pan Ams. And it was me and Josh Freeman, who's one of the elite shot putters in the U.S. right now. And we went 1 and 2. I was 3 weeks post-appendectomy, so it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
But, we showed up, we did our thing, he won, we both stood on the podium, we heard an anthem, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And knowing what I felt standing lower and knowing what he had to feel standing higher and hearing it, that there's nothing that can replace, and there's no excuse for the idea of someone able to just take that away and say, oops.
Yeah. It was, I watched that, and you were probably too young, but I watched that competition from Athens in the site of the original Olympics. They'd set up the shot put of all events that you could do in the Olympics in the ancient Greek stadium. And it was on at like 2:00 in the morning. And I watched the whole qualifying rounds, and then Adam came in, and Adam was a fun thrower to watch because he would either throw a bomb or foul every time. And I think he only got one fair throw off and ended up tying Bellinog, but Bellinog had a second throw that got him the gold.
Yeah.
And, I had talked to people where, and we've discussed it over the years, where if he would just figure out a way not to foul, and that was his throw. He was riding the line and just crazy and going after it every time.
And if you ask him, there was, I think, a span of 21 straight meets, or I forget the exact number, but there was a string of meets where he fouled every throw, and he said, I'm not changing anything.
No.
Because when I hit it, it'll be my throw. And I think that was the same year he threw 73 feet indoors.
Yeah, it was so fun to watch because you never knew what was coming.
Yeah.
He was such a reckless motherfucker. He was going after it every throw. And
he did not care.
Slamming his shirt down and getting the crowd into it. And that, when he was throwing that way, and it was him and Gadina and Andy Bloom and CJ Hunter and those guys, and they were all getting after it, and it really pushed him. And I think it's a lot like it is now with you guys. You got so many good shot putters in the U.S. that are just on the cusp, and then some established guys, and it's fun to watch.
I mean, there's so many people who are in it, so many people who could potentially be in it, and so many more that you don't know.
Yeah.
The people that could be in it at any time, Kurt Jensen, he can clean 500 pounds, jerk 5 mid, pull 800 without wraps. Like, the strongest person I've ever met in my life.
Yeah. Where's he out of?
He trains at Wisconsin Eau Claire. It's a D3 school. Yeah. He trains with Roger Steen, who's another shot putter. 1997 is his PR. But he threw for Illinois State. I think he's from Illinois.
Okay.
But he's a freak.
Yeah.
I mean, he threw 21-12 this year, I think is what he hit as a PR.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's like, I just pretty much quit doing stand throws hard because I could stand 19 meters. I was like,
right.
I stood 54 feet a couple times.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, it's ridiculous what he's able to do. He's one of those people, if he figures it out, I mean, write him a check.
Yeah, if he gets the carryover from his stand to his full,
and it's disgusting what he's able to do. And then Josh Freeman. Josh Freeman's someone that's thrown far for a long time. Last year, I think, was his best year in terms of personal best. Season's best this year, 2040. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the way he moves, he's huge. He's 6'4", 6'5".
And we've got 2 more years before the Olympics.
340, and he scoots. He has a good training system, great coach. So, he's someone that could break through. I'm on the other end of that spectrum a little more with could be in the mix right now.
Right.
Probably should be, but I haven't done the right things. And then, I could be further up.
Yeah.
It's just I haven't had a good year.
Have you thought about doing other training camps too, traveling around, going to train with some people?
So I talk to Whiting every once in a while, and he's like, just get a hold of me and we'll work something out.
Yeah. Where's he at now? I know he's out of Pennsylvania. Originally.
He's down in Tempe.
Okay.
So he went back to ASU and he trains with Blue Trick.
Yeah.
But then, I worked with Gadina in December. I went down and stayed in Arizona for a week and worked with him.
Yeah.
Trained at Exos and then Altus.
I know Randy's working with people down in West Virginia too.
Yeah, and I'm only like an hour away from him.
Mm-hmm.
But I know people that went and worked with him, and it was him and Rusty, and they're just kind of like, hey, do this, and it just really didn't work with what they were already trying to do.
Yeah, well, I talked to Kurt Roberts, and Kurt Roberts had an interesting take on it, because he had gone everywhere. He'd gone to all these different places and worked with these different guys, and when he worked with, I can't remember who he was talking about. He was working with one guy, and he would kind of give him his thoughts on how his technique should look. And then he went down and worked with Randy. It was completely different.
Yeah.
So he just took little bits and pieces from everybody and turned it into the Kurt Roberts technique.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, I would love to go down to Core Blend and work with Hoffa and work with Jordan Clark, who's there now. They have a Sheenia Miller training there, Jamaican guy. I would love to do a training camp with Whiting. I've never been asked to do a training camp at Chula Vista, the training center.
Yeah.
But that's something I would probably enjoy just for the biomechanical analysis.
Sure, yeah.
Outside of that, if I was ever lucky enough to work in a training environment with Art Venegas, that's the mecca of shot putting.
Right.
He's the best to ever do it in terms of coaching.
He sure did have some talent, for sure, that he produced, for sure.
It's just, with what I do, I know people who are on similar systems, so I kind of get a little picky.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of people who I would want to work with, just because, I can't throw like Christian Cantwell did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't bench 660.
Yeah, you never bend your legs,
Yeah,
just kind of walk through the third.
Yeah, he's an inch taller than me and could stand over 20.
Yeah.
And could just 10-man it out of the back and
He never bent his legs. And he walked through the throw and just get after it.
So, I mean,
huge separation in the middle, but
people in that style, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I couldn't throw far throwing in the Bondichuk system, working with Rhodey.
Right.
I couldn't throw far in that system. 2 bent knees in the front of the ring and then pushing out as far as you can. Like, that's not where I'm powerful.
Right.
I'm powerful because I can get 2 feet on the ground and put all of my force that I've created through a ball.
Right.
So, like if you watch elite high jumpers, they're jumping off of straight legs. Mm-hmm. But what they're doing is they're bringing so much force and transferring it so quickly. That's how they're able to get over 7.7, 7.8. So it's the same idea with the legs. It's, land and take everything up on a vertical axis and just put everything you possibly can through a ball.
Yeah, and that's the problem you have working with young throwers too, is they want to have a deep crouch in the middle or a deep crouch in the back, and a lot of times it doesn't facilitate movement very well. You have to figure out what's going to get you to explode those hips the fastest. And some people do that. Some, like you talked about, having that deep double knee bend in the back, and I'm more of a fan of a more fluid movement. Trying to get through quick, get your feet down, lift with the hips. That's always the way I threw the best. But yeah, there's so many different ways to coach this and teach it.
It's really interesting because, referring to Chuck, he always just says trying to find a true power position. Mm-hmm. Find 2 bent knees in the middle with your shoulders back to 12.
Yeah.
12 o'clock.
Yep.
12 o'clock being the back of the ring.
All behind your hip.
He's like, find that and then just extend as hard as you can through everything. Go through the ground first. Get your hips in front of the ball. And then from there, it's just using the momentum that you created.
Yeah, when I coached track and field, I would teach the most basic technique. Towards the last 7 or 8 years of my career coaching, I taught primarily the rotation. If you couldn't handle the rotation, you probably weren't going to throw very far anyhow. So, I just taught the rotation, but I would teach the most basic rotational technique I could, and then just get them in the best possible shape I could in 4 years. And it always was successful. And it made it so that it held up under stress. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a lot of things that could go wrong. And I think there's something to be said for that, where get in really good shape and find a technique that works for you that you're not going to screw up. You know?
I mean, execution is the biggest part of it, Insanity is doing everything the same every time expecting a different result. Mm-hmm. I think it's Einstein said that. So, my favorite thing is I've done it 10,000 times. I haven't failed. I've just figured out what won't work.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think that was Thomas Edison or something like that. But it's like, you haven't failed. You just haven't figured out exactly the way you need to do it to optimize your potential.
And the longer you can stay in the game, especially as a drug-free athlete, the more you're going to learn. So if you look at guys, and I'm not saying they were drug-free. I'm guessing they weren't, but who knows? When Mac Wilkins won the gold, and it was him and John Powell who were in their 40s. I think Mac was 40 and John was 39 or something. Yeah. But it's being able to stay in the sport and get that many more reps and learn what works and what doesn't. And it takes thousands and thousands of reps and years. Shot putting is a little bit more difficult because I think it's a little bit more stressful on your body. And you talk about your fingers and hand and trying to work through those injuries. But being a drug-free athlete, you may be able to stay in the sport longer and throw further just out of more reps.
Yeah. I mean, by being a drug-free athlete, you don't get as many reps as those who take because you don't recover. Yeah. Everyone's like, well, it's not a big deal. It just gives you strength. Well, no, it gives you the ability to take 50 throws a day repeatedly. Yeah. And if I can only take 8,000 throws in a year and they're able to take 12,
sure,
they have the advantage just in that aspect alone.
Right.
So the biggest thing is just finding finding the way that you need to move to create force, finding the way that you need to move to be efficient. For me, I always had a tendency to lean in heavy with the left shoulder out of the back and kind of use my body weight to my advantage.
Kind of dip as you were coming out,
and not really have to work off the left leg.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now everything I do is about setting an axis early, getting around the corner with an erect spine, chest up, and then just pushing my hips out in front of my chest.
More linear drive to the middle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Taking rotary force, turning it to a linear drive.
So you don't focus around getting around that left as much anymore.
I focus on getting the right hip around the left out of the back.
Okay.
Because what that allows me to do is I don't have to use the left leg to turn. I don't think of turning the left leg at all. I think of using the right foot like a skateboard and getting out long.
Okay, yeah.
Because what it does is the right leg will bring the left around,
mm-hmm.
and then the only thing I have to worry about with the left leg is trying to keep it lower, as low as I can, and just pinching the knees in the front and just being as violent as possible for a split second.
And again, catching that ball behind your right hip.
Yeah.
That right moment.
Right leg has to win the race.
Yeah.
Your legs have to win the race with the upper body. And for me, since I'm such an active upper body thrower, I throw the left arm out of the back.
Yeah.
So for me, I have to think of certain things that may not work for everybody else because I do that. So I have to think of lower body's in a race with the upper body. If my lower body wins, I'll throw far.
Mm-hmm.
If my upper body wins, I'll probably drop it 61, 62.
Right.
And walk away like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things, it's fun to look at and it's fun to play with, but it's also so time sensitive. Last year was time sensitive for me. I was making technical changes and stuff throughout the season, which is pretty common, but I was making pretty major technical changes.
Yeah.
So then we get to indoor USAs. I practice. I have a psoas issue on the right side from where I'm not turning my right foot through the finish,
mm-hmm.
leaving it planted, and then just blasting it. Practice, I was training over 20 meters pretty much every throw. Warm-ups for the actual competition, over 20 meters. Hip kept bugging me, kept getting worse. And then I ended at 1942, got sixth. Mm-hmm. So I was 1 centimeter away from making some money.
Yeah.
But just being able to be there and being able to compete was enough for me. Knowing that I left a lot out there was frustrating because I could have got third.
Right.
So it was a learning experience for sure because it was the first time I really traveled without my coach and because all my indoor meets were local.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the first time I really traveled big time by myself. I shared a room with Josh Freeman at a hotel.
Yeah.
We were Uber, taxi, walking everywhere.
Yeah, you're taking care of your own life at this point.
Planning food,
right.
Walking to avoid hobos.
Yeah.
All the things that you hear on track trips, happened.
Right.
So it was one of those things that's like, oh, this isn't as bad, but, did I need to throw the night before? I don't know. Would I have done better if I just took it off and relaxed and worked on hydration and mobility and just making sure I was loose? I made the decision to throw.
Right. Yeah, and that's what we talked about, the older you get, being able to know your body and know what you need.
Yeah. But I was also, 23, and,
mm-hmm.
That night I walked over and I saw Darrell getting in the ring. I was like, okay, if he's doing it, I should probably do it too, because I've never been in that ring before.
Right.
Ryan Whiting shows up, he gets in the ring. I'm like, okay, I think I made the good decision. And I think I did, but...
You may not make the same decision next time.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where doing it before, it's one of I can look out and be like, I think I feel okay.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go in confident.
Have a little confidence that you worked your plan and you're ready to go. Yeah.
So that's kind of been the biggest thing for me is just not necessarily, the plan doesn't have to be amazing. It obviously helps. The better the plan is, the more
mm-hmm.
tailored it is. But this year I kind of did a little more on my own. So for me, not knowing, it's fun because I can play with it. But at the same time, it's also frustrating because if I play with it and it's wrong, then I show up to a meet and throw 63, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you can always take that as a learning experience. Okay, then I won't go back to that next time.
It's just I'm at the point now where it's a man's sport.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to make this a living. I'm trying to make money doing this. I don't do it as a hobby.
Right.
For me, it's not. It's fun. I don't consider it work.
Right.
It's my passion. It's what I love doing. But at the same time, it's like I see it as a learning experience, but also a waste of time, because looking back and then going over it and going with my journal, I can see, okay, this doesn't add up to where I was trying to be. It sounded good at the time, and I had fun for 3 weeks doing it, but at the end of the 3 weeks, I deteriorated, or I lost, or I did something that it just doesn't add up.
It's so difficult in this country to make a living in track and field.
Oh, absolutely.
And it all depends on your event and what Nike can sell to people. And, I can remember Adam Nelson again being super frustrated and turning down a Nike contract because he's like, I'm the best guy in the world. You're going to offer me $5,000 for the year? I mean, what? I can't live on that. Mm-hmm. And, in turn, you're offering Marion Jones these multi-million-dollar contracts. And, when I threw on the Pro Highland Games circuit, and it's hard to pass that up because I didn't go anywhere to any competition that didn't at least pay a car payment. Yeah. You either pay my car payment or if I'm going to actually have to fly to your competition, you're going to pay my mortgage payment, And for the sport, why is the money so good for throwers there and guys that are really talented in throwing 70-foot shot puts and 200-plus hammer throws aren't getting shit?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to make money in the U.S. in this sport, you pretty much have to throw 70 feet now.
Yeah. And you're still not going to make great money.
I mean, depending on what the contract structure and stuff. Yeah. But, I mean, if you throw 70 feet, you'll
Ryan Krauser's probably making some coins.
Yeah, but I think his base contract, I think with the way Nike tiers their salaries I think his base is 50 or 55. Mm-hmm. But I think for him to show up to a meet, he makes $16,000. That's his contract. Like, you want me to throw here, you pay me this much money.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that can vary from person to person. And, I think the farewell Cantwell 2-year journey tour was him showing up to places, collecting the check, and then not even throwing. Or warming up and saying, I'm done.
Yeah.
I mean, he needed another surgery. He needed... Yeah. But if you're able to ride that out for 2 years just to show up from past work and collect the check, and they're paying for travel, they're paying for lodging, why not?
Sure.
But it's the idea that he did that. Who did it block out?
Yeah. And did it damage you guys later in your career? Later now that he did that, and do meets look at it and go, well, fuck, this guy screwed us over. What's to say this guy's not going to screw us over?
Yeah. I mean, it's just. It really depends on the person. Mm-hmm. It depends on the company. There's a great company right now called Velosa. It's a Lyndon Redder startup. It's throwing based. He was the former throws coach in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. They just came out with a lifting shoe. Kovacs is their big guy.
So check them out. Yeah.
Chuck signed with them. Alex Young signed with them. Jordan Young out of Virginia signed with them. So there's a lot of people. Mike Shuey, javelin thrower out of Penn State, signed with them. There's a lot of Kurt Jensen signed with them too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that are under it, and I think you work off commission. From what I understand, the contract is based like you sell their stuff and you get a percentage of.
Sure.
But it's not something that's like binding. It's not you can leave at any time.
Yeah.
But it's throwing based, and I really like it because. Even when I was at Purdue and I was competing against Lennon, you could just tell that he cared about his athletes.
Right.
Whether they had a great day or they had a bad day, he cared. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't always the case, that what you could see from coaches. Coaches are a lot of times like, hey, I need this from you now. And if that doesn't happen, then they're kind of like, they walk away mad. They'll turn around and just walk away from you or walk away from their athlete pissed. And it's like, that's not effective.
It's a football coach mentality that doesn't work with throwers a lot of times because, especially throwers who've gotten to the college level, you can pull that with high school kids and sometimes they'll respond to that. But when you get a kid who's thrown far and gotten some accolades and gone off to college, when you're looking at throwers at that level, you guys are artists. And there's an artist mentality to that. You have this art that you're trying to perfect, and a lot of times it's a very emotional thing, and you're very emotional people. And I know I'm that way, and you're not going to respond to that football coach mentality where they're screaming at you. That's not going to get anything out of you.
No.
Give me some tips, give me some encouragement. The next throw is you're going to be your best one. Get after it.
Be in my corner.
Right.
Know that I can turn around if I have a bad throw. and you're still going to help me figure it out.
And if you were a thrower, you should know that. You should know that that's the way it works.
Just let me know that good or bad, we'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my first year at Tiffin, I was slated for 4th in the weight and 2nd in the shot. I got 13th in the shot, and I got 8th in the weight. Mm-hmm. So I went from 13 points or something like that I was to 1.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? You know, like, I didn't know what was going on. And the first thing Ray did was come over. He's like, it's my fault. He's like, you did the plan. You did it. It's my fault. And
that extreme ownership mentality.
It really hurt him because he knew how much it meant to me.
Yeah.
You know, luckily our team stepped up and we still won our first national title. But it's like, you know.
Yeah.
I put that burden on everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So then moving forward for me, it was like, all right, that's not going to happen again. So then the next year, I scored 20 points.
Yeah.
So it worked out, and knowing that he was always going to not necessarily take the blame, but split it and look at it and evaluate it.
Take some pressure off you.
And
you know.
At the end of the day, it's a sport.
Right.
You know, people do it as a hobby. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be, whether you're making a living at it or not, you know, for me, it's a job, and I take it very seriously. So looking at it, you know, just knowing that it's not all on me. Now it is, but at the time it wasn't. So I kind of take that mentality into myself as, you know, if I have one bad day, that doesn't set the tone for the week. That doesn't set the tone for the month, the year. You know, I've had slumps where I've had bad strings of meets. You know, last year, indoors, I had 3 meets in a row where I didn't throw over 17:30, which I've thrown out of a stand before.
Right.
And then worked on some stuff, and Ray just kind of broke it down. We're like, hey, we got to do this. So we just went back to the nuts and bolts and got after it. And then I come back the next week, through 1916.
Yeah.
And then just kind of built through that. By the end of the year, I threw 1954 indoors, which is just right at 64. Set the conference record, won my 3rd consecutive conference title, and then go to nationals, and I won that. So
yeah, and it's great to know that you can pull yourself back if you're having a shitty week. Oh, we've been here before.
Yeah,
we can get this back. This isn't going to be a problem.
And this year was pretty interesting in that aspect, just because if I would have 2 Brad practices in a row, I would take a couple of days just off.
Probably smart. Yeah.
And you know, I really enjoy golf. So I would get to the point where I was like, all right, well, I want to take a couple of days off, and I would just go golf one day.
Right.
And just take my mind away from it. You know, I play more video games now than I probably should. So, but like that's kind of where I can get lost and just kind of not think about it.
Thinking about the ball or work or whatever.
You know, we mentioned, like, when you introduced me today, it was, you know, I saw me on Instagram. I was a track guy, and my life is so much more than just track.
Right.
You know, at one point I was a certified welder. You know, I have trades. I know. Grew up on a farm.
Yeah.
You know, I know shit outside of throwing a ball in a 7-foot ring.
Right.
You know, that's what I'm obsessed with, and that's what I do.
That's your passion.
But it's, you know, I can hold a general conversation about so much more, which is why the contacts and the people that I consistently talk to in the sport are so great. It's just because if you're not trying to troubleshoot a problem, then you just be like, you know, how's your kids?
Yeah, when I started this podcast, it came out of a conversation I had with Powell Wenzel, who runs the Uncharted Performance podcast. And I'd been on his podcast 3 or 4 times, and I said, you know what? People are going to be really bored with me talking about deadlifting. You know, I mean, I said, weightlifting is the least interesting thing I'm interested in, you know? Yeah. And that's where this podcast came in, because I'll have a guy on like you, and I just scheduled a podcast with Mark Mirabello, who's a professor at Shawnee State. We're going to go down and talk about, you know, traditions about the afterlife through civilizations throughout history, you know? And it's important to have other things outside of throwing and lifting, you know, and become a well-rounded person, read a book, and evolve a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really read that much.
It'll come. I didn't when I was in my 20s either.
It's just like YouTube. I mean, I spend so much time on YouTube just watching random shit.
Yeah, right.
Like, yesterday I watched over an hour's worth of videos on how to make concrete fireplace, like concrete fire rings.
There's nothing wrong with that. People who say there's something wrong with that don't. I mean, if you gave YouTube to the people in the pioneer days, they would have been watching YouTube.
If you gave YouTube to third world countries, they could watch someone dig through scrap bins and find stuff to create electricity for a home. Mm-hmm. Like, the amount of shit you can find on YouTube is ridiculous.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with technology. And people talk about, like you talked about, playing video games. I don't understand video games because when I was in my, when I was growing up, I had Atari. Yeah. And you had Pong, so I never got into that. Yeah. But there's no way as a kid today you can look at that and not think it's super cool. Like, I watch it. Like, I'll watch it on TV and I'm like, holy shit, that looks like a real person doing it, So, I mean, I don't understand the trip, but I can totally understand why guys your age are into that shit,
I mean, it's like, my dad was the same way. He grew up with, like, Nintendo. Yeah. And he's like, we played Side Pocket. It was like a pool game. Right. And he's like, we would do best of seven, like tournaments. And I was like, well, I got Call of Duty.
Yeah. If you would look at the graphics from back then, you would have been like, how the fuck did you even look at that,
Yeah. But I was just raised in a household, I have 5 siblings, 2 of which are older. And my youngest 3 siblings are adopted. So I was the youngest for a long time. And then when I was 14, my parents said, hey, we're going to bring these kids in without the intention of adopting them. Right. They just were going to kind of hold on to them as a kinship until they would find someone that wouldn't separate them. And 10 years later, they're still here. And I'm really thankful for that, just because it gave me the chance to be the big brother and gave me the chance to realize how annoying I was as a little sibling. Sure, right. My oldest brother's 10 years older than me, and my little brother's going into 5th grade. Yeah. So 34 to 5th grade. Yeah. I don't know exactly how old Bryce is. But, so I was just raised in a household that, like, the age differences were so good because everyone was into something different. Yeah. And everyone in my family is really inclusive. So my oldest brother would play Nintendo 64. I was interested in PlayStation because that's what was new. Right. But I grew up playing all of it, and music from everywhere. Yeah. TV from everywhere. I grew up watching history. I didn't play with toys. Right. I lived on a 20-acre horse farm. So my parents were like, go outside. And, there's a pool, there's a river, go do whatever you want. Yeah. Just don't get hurt. If you get hurt, make sure you scream pretty loud so we can hear you. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it was, me growing up, it was about learning. It was about contributing in some way. So, I learned how to weld when I was 6. It's amazing. My grandpa was making me run an angle grinder to cut because they were refinishing horse trailers or something. Yeah. And they have a bunch of houses that they rent out and stuff. So, I was 12 years old during the winter. My grandpa was dragging me out of bed to go help him unthaw water lines for the rental houses and shit. That you can't replicate that kind of work ethic. It's just,
lifting weights and throwing a shot put is not work in comparison.
No. Replacing a floor during the middle of the winter in a home, that sucks. Yeah. Baling hay. We have 13 horses. So every summer, my 10th birthday, I had a birthday party with my friends over. My parents were like, yeah, you can have a birthday party. I think it was 10, I don't know, whatever. But they're like, yeah, you can have friends over, and that's fine, whatever. So we're camping, and my parents come in the back. They're like, hey, guy down the road just called. Hay's ready, so we have to go bale hay. So me and my friends for my birthday, we're baling hay. Yeah. And they're like, this is what you do? I'm like,
this is life.
This is what we have to do. So, it's just, I showed pigs. There was a lot of work to do there.
You can't replicate that experience.
Yeah, I live on the river. Yeah. So we would flood. And when we would flood, we had to move all the animals. Right. Animals break fence lines and shit like that. So, out there chasing them. Yeah. Mowing, and just, there was always something that needed to be done. Yeah. And since going to college, I can realize now, looking back, how much it helped. Mm-hmm. Not in the aspect of school, because I hated school, and the fact that I wasn't able to take classes on what I was interested in. In terms of...
What were you interested in?
So when I started at Purdue, I was interested in engineerings and that kind of stuff. I really wanted to be an eye doctor. Mm-hmm. That was my number one thing I wanted to do, but it was offered in so few schools. Right. And then, so I ended up in sports performance at Purdue, where I was going to hopefully take that into chiropractic. Mm-hmm. By the time I ended at Purdue, I was organizational leadership supervision.
What the fuck is that?
So it's like international banking. You're basically industrial engineering.
Okay.
Except you don't create the plan for efficiency in a business. You implement it.
Okay.
So I'm the guy that's like, hey, Mark, we should probably do this instead of this because here's why.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of set tasks and goals and, shit like that.
And then when you went to Tiffin, did you stay with that?
So when I was at Tiffin, when I transferred, I didn't really know what I wanted to do based upon the majors that they had there. And then after my first semester, I was like, I think I like accounting. I took my first accounting class, and it was easy. And I was like, I'm good with numbers.
Right.
So I think I want to do accounting. And then I went and talked to some people, and they're like, you can't really finish that on time based on your timeline.
Yeah.
So how's sports management? I was like, business degree, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. So then I moved my electives and that kind of stuff around. I took a culture hip hop class.
Yeah,
that was great.
Right.
I took 3 art classes.
Yeah.
I enjoyed those. But I didn't really get a breakdown as a business major and study the things I was interested in.
Mm-hmm.
I would just kind of do enough work to get a decent grade so I could stay eligible for track.
Yeah.
But it was never really anything that I cared about. I don't care about statistics. I don't care about legal and ethical issues in business.
Yeah, it makes taking classes a lot more difficult. You're just doing it to get through. It's just something you have to do every day as opposed to something you want to go do.
So, it was never anything that I was just like, oh, wow, like this is...
So, right now, I know you just got this job with the rec center and everything. What would be the end goal? Like, man, this is where I should be.
So, I never want to not be involved with sports.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to, before when I was saying chiropractic, I was going to take that and do more specific, like ART chiropractic, try to work with athletes, that kind of stuff. There's no way I can ever do anything and not be around sport.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, running this facility, I think is a great job because I'm being brought in on the ground floor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm selecting the netting for it. I'm selecting the surface area for it. Like, I'm doing a lot of the stuff that's going into it, so I have more invested, I guess. But, it's a moneymaker for the school. It's the school district. What events can I do? That aspect of things.
Yeah.
But I also get to schedule sporting events. I get to run track meets the way I want to run track meets. I could probably do elite track meets. I can probably do elite shot put comps. I can do elite weight throw comps. I can do a lot more shit that I'm interested in.
Right.
In a place that I get to do, like in my setting, in my environment. So it's not necessarily anything different than I'm already doing because I work in our Heminger Center. Mm-hmm. So, I'm working for events, but I don't want to show up and work a walk for a cause. That's not...
Right.
I would gladly show up and work a track meet because I get to see something that I enjoy. But that's part of it. So for me, the trade-off is, becoming one of the best track and field facilities in the state.
And what city is this going to be in?
It's in Logan.
Okay.
So Hocking County. Yeah, Hocking County.
Okay.
Hocking Hills area. We're between Athens and Lancaster.
Okay.
So southeast, about an hour southeast of Columbus on 33. But the thing is, there's only 2 or 3 counties in Ohio that only have one school. We're one of them. Mm-hmm. But we were traditionally extremely good at sports. Mm-hmm. My sophomore year in high school, we lost to Brookhaven in the state playoffs, and we were 13-1.
Yeah.
And we were 2 games away from the state championship.
Right.
And the next year, we were pretty bad in football. But our track team has notoriously done extremely well. We have over 34 league championships.
Yeah.
And it's just, track is our sport. Like, that's what we're consistently good at. We always have kids that are good at it.
Yeah.
So, Katie Smith, WNBA Hall of Fame, she's from our high school.
Okay.
Her mom was my senior seminar teacher. So, the amount of talent that we get to come through our doors at Logan, in comparison to other places, is pretty similar. But we only have 1,300 kids in the school to pick from.
Right.
We have 1,300 kids in the county that go to school in the same place.
Right.
It's, Seneca County, which is where Tiffin's at, has 10 high schools. So...
Yeah, that's breaking it up. That's the way it is here in Lorain County,
Yeah.
And then you get a bunch of shitty high schools.
But how many people go to Amherst?
Yeah.
Thousands?
Yeah. Well, I don't know now. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
We have less than 1,500 in one school for the entire county.
Yeah.
So it's the talent pool that you get is very limited.
Yeah.
And then, the people that we're close to, Pickerington North, Pickerington Central, Reynoldsburg, the teams that we're close to just kick the shit out of us because they have 4,000 kids in their school.
Right.
And people open and roll and people do all that. Like Logan,
yeah.
No, they realize that it's a little easier to have someone ride the bus for an hour and a half, 2 hours, than it is to have 3 different schools operating.
Right.
So they just put it all together. And our school is fantastic. One lap around the ground floor is 400 meters. It's huge.
Yeah.
Every room has natural lighting. We have a turf field. We have a great track.
Yeah.
We have 3 shot put rings. We have a disc, and we're getting this facility and everything, and it will bring so much in, and it will kind of create a spot for us to draw stuff in.
Well, it's an interesting concept to bring in elite level throwers because you could bill that just like they bill Highland Games, and it brings in big money. Come see these, Olympic level hammer throwers come throw in our unique facility here.
I mean, that, and then you have the high school aspect of things.
Mm-hmm.
High school sport is never going to go anywhere.
Right.
So having the capability to host the best in the state in a facility,
right?
That opens so many doors. Ohio State doesn't offer the weight throw anymore. It's a state recognized event.
Yeah.
They don't offer it indoors anymore because they took the hammer with the weight sector and turned it into a team camp.
Oh.
I've seen 2 people get hit with a weight
right.
at Ohio State. So
is that why they do it at Akron now? I think they do it at Akron.
Well, they never had the state meet at OSU.
Right.
Ever since I've been doing track, it's always been at Akron.
Mm-hmm.
But for just their general meets, they don't have weight.
They don't have weight at Ohio State University in indoor track.
No, because for high school they have to use that as team camping area. So then you have kids going to Capitol and shanking a weight 64 feet and putting it in the ceiling.
Yeah, right.
So
maybe with Ashley Muffet down there now, things will start changing. We were just talking about her yesterday. What a fucking animal she was in high school and college throwing. Jesus Christ.
I mean, she's great. She's extremely smart. She's good at her job.
Yeah.
I mean,
she was a scary chick, man. I mean, she was jacked and just aggressive.
She still is.
Fun to watch her throw, man. I'm gonna get a hold of her and get her on the podcast too one of these days.
So it's just one of those things. I mean, obviously it's safety.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. I watched a kid get smacked in the chest with a weight.
Right.
So I mean, they have to do it for safety reasons, but it's like the quality of meat you're able to run is deteriorated so much, and that's statewide because no one wants to step on anybody else's toes in terms of taking meats away from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right, well, this person already have these meats on this weekend, so we'll go here.
Yeah.
And then if someone else has it, you're like, shit, because you want, most colleges that have it, it's a moneymaker for them.
Sure it is, yeah.
So I guess having a facility where, making money is in the end game the result, but just providing the best quality of meat possible is my number one goal as a facility director. The money will come in. I'm not really worried about making the money because that shit's going to happen.
Yep.
For me, it's, how can I get the 80-foot weight thrower from Ohio? How can I get the next 70-foot shot putter from Ohio?
Well, the way you do it is and this is, I firmly believe in this, and you put on the absolute best meat experience-wise for the throwers, and you make sure everything's taken care of, and you've got a lot of volunteers, and you make sure that the ring is perfect, and you make sure that they get a swag bag when they come in, and if you can get sponsors, that the pay is good for the winners, and then you start getting those 80-footers who come to you and say, hey, can I get into this meet? You know? And then everything is just gravy after that.
So the idea of having a facility and being able to host something elite is really intriguing for me because, Joe Kovacs, who's Ashley's fiance, is only an hour away now.
Yeah.
So
he's training at Westside, isn't he?
No, he bought equipment and he trains in their garage.
Okay, because I had heard that he was doing.
He was doing some Westside stuff, and then I think he got out of there. But for him, only being an hour away, being able to host an elite shot group, I can get 6-7 guys come over, have an elite, bring people in, have it. So that's what gets me juiced up about the
Sure.
job, is just being able to be like, oh, this is going to be fucking sweet. A lot of sleepless nights, I'm sure ahead, long days.
Yeah, it'll all be good shit in the end, though.
But I'm 24.
Right.
So, this is the time where I'm supposed to do that stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, I'm excited about it.
Good.
Just because it's a new step. It's real job. I've worked construction. I've worked at fast food. I've worked retail. I've worked a little bit of everything.
Even long nights compared to what you're used to it's gonna be fun. It's not gonna be baling hay or fixing floors.
Yeah. So it'll just be different.
Yeah.
And it'll be learning. I work in an operating facility in terms of the Heminger, but I haven't directed an event. I haven't. So that'll all be new to me. I don't know how to run a graduation through it. I know what it looks like. I've seen it done before. I've participated in one,
right?
But I've never organized one. So little things like that just kind of resume patter, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't see myself going anywhere with this position. I think it can build into something ridiculous,
right,
in terms of the facility. So, that's all fun, and it's all good stuff there. So it's exciting for me being able to look forward and just take my training into that,
right? Yeah.
And be able to train there with my high school coach again, and still work with Ray, and then be able to afford to do the training camps like we talked about earlier. Me spending $300 on a flight to Arizona is nothing.
Yeah.
When I'm making decent money now.
Right. Exactly.
So it's I'm not spending a month's paycheck to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So things like that are what excites me, is just the ability to do the stuff that I couldn't do before.
Yeah, it's going to open up a whole new world for you, for sure.
And then just be able to train the way I need to train. I can.
Well, I think now you're going to become a true artist, because you're going to have to figure out.
Yeah, there's going to have to be balance. Yeah. It's not like when I was an athlete, class in the morning, practice at this time, lifting the same time every day. With the new job, until the facility is done, I'll be substitute teaching. Right. So I'll be subbing in the school, or I'll have meetings or that kind of stuff for the facility itself. So my schedule will be pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. So just being in a routine will help, because this year I'd be like, I think I want to go lift, and it'd be like 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then the next day I'd be like, I need to get my lift in now because of this. So I'd go in and lift at 9:30.
Yeah.
There was no set thing, and I got a little better outdoors. And then I started having injuries. Mm-hmm. So I was never really able to execute a full plan.
Yeah, you have to be fluid to the point where you get to where you get at least some semblance of a schedule that you can keep. And then it's just a matter of discipline and setting some time for yourself, where I always talk about, I have a block of time during the day, every day from 11 to 12, where I will not talk to you.
Yeah.
So if you come to me and ask me fitness questions or how can I improve my deadlift, I'm not going to fucking talk to you, because that's my hour to train.
Yeah.
And I've seen too many coaches and gym owners who get into this and then they bitch that they don't have time to train and they get soft. And then who the fuck wants a big soft guy teaching them how to lift weights? You need that, and you also need it for your sanity. So I have that 11 to 12 where don't come and talk to me during that 11 to 12. I'll answer your questions until I fall asleep at night, but not during that hour. So you'll get to the point where you have your your schedule where it's like, okay, this is Coy time, and I'm going to get my training in during this time.
So that's the part I'm excited about. I think I have a lot to teach in terms of helping the people who are already at the school for training purposes. I think I have a lot more to learn about helping others too. I've always been an open book. If someone asks me a question, I'll answer it straight up. Right. So, I don't hold anything back about lifting questions. I don't hold anything back about technique questions.
And that's something you respect from other people, because you mentioned it several times during this podcast, that those are the people you love that are
they're the best people.
Right.
Every once in a while you get the jackass. It's like, well, I'm going to tell you.
Right.
I'm like, okay, get over yourself.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything so special that I need to kiss your ass. But
Right.
if I ask a general question and you can't give me anything to help potentially build the sport in any way.
And what a shitty way to win. You beat somebody because you wouldn't give them a tip.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Come on.
I'm 4 or 5 feet away from the people I'm asking.
Yeah, right.
And I'm already a 66-foot shot putter.
Yeah.
So the amount of time and the amount of things that have to go right for me to throw that far, it's years.
Yeah. I really think, I'm excited to see you drop a little weight and see how your mobility increases and your speed increases. And then, I mean, I honestly think, just knowing you and looking at you and looking at your throwing, that could be the key to go from 66 to 70.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's there, and I can see you throwing at 330 and being an absolute fucking nightmare for people.
I mean, first goal is 350, and then reassess, then probably 330. And I've always wanted to see if I can get under 300 pounds, but I don't know.
Well, look at your throws. You know, when I went from 310 to 237, I felt like shit.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I'm way weaker, and I don't feel like me, and I can't do things. I bump up to 245, and I feel great, and I'm strong, and I can move, and so you'll figure that out.
And that's the kind of thing, like Doug Reynolds, he's a discus thrower in the U.S., coaches at New Mexico State. He knew that if he was 286, he would throw far. If he was a pound under, he would feel off. If he was a pound over, he'd feel off. So, like, he knew the exact weight he had to weigh in at to be great. And, you know, people fluctuate. You know, there's people who throw 70 feet that aren't 300 pounds, and there's people that throw 70 feet that are well over.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things of finding the right body composition and body mass for me to bring around.
More stuff to learn, man.
So, doing it the right way, too, is the key part for me, just for general health and being safe. You know,
Get your blood work done. Get those tests done. See where you're at.
Get all that shit done, look at the numbers, and just make adjustments and keep it going.
And like I said, if you ever need any help with that, I think we do a really good job of getting weight off athletes and making sure that they stay strong. You know, I think we've got that down to a science, and if you ever need help with that, let us know.
Appreciate it.
We'll play with stuff and go from there.
So
let's wrap this up, man. We've been talking forever. I want to thank you for coming out. It's been great. I'd love to do this again sometime.
Yeah, anytime.
Man, let's progress and get towards that 70-foot mark.
Absolutely.
All right, brother. Coy Blair. This has been the Refined Savage. See ya.